Welcome to 90210 Universe, a podcast dedicated to showcasing unique, creative, and diverse humans who are making their mark by living their legacies. Visionaries who took and take action daily. We all have a story. Here, we share ours to inspire, move, and empower others. It's okay to face challenges as we all journey through survival, thriving, and succeed in life. So join us as we spotlight rock stars who navigate the roller coasters of life and use their uniqueness to show that if they can do it, so can you. Welcome to 90210 Universe, a podcast that is, of course, showcasing superhumans, as we like to say. And so this time we're showcasing a special, unique, creative, and diverse human being, as you will see in a moment. All those that we invite to our show are making their mark by living their legacies today. And therefore, they take action daily. Now, you all know we have a story. You have a story, we have a story. And here we share our stories to inspire, move, and empower others. And we really want to make sure that you understand it's okay to face challenges. And as we all journey through survival, thriving, and succeed in life. So today, our spotlight rock star is Barbie Layton, who, I must admit, I've met a few years ago, and now our paths have once again reconnected. So, welcome, Barbie. And
Thank
Barbie,
you.
I believe I will let you introduce yourself. But one thing that is always so amazing about you is not just the energy behind you, but you really exude an energy that is about connecting people, connecting frequencies, connecting and sharing. And I know you've had a lot of challenges and a lot of successes. So why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself to get us started?
So thank you so much for that, Dr. Natalie. So in the last 4 years, it's just been, I know for some people, the pandemic was this curse, but for a lot of people, the pandemic was also a blessing because it had a lot of people where you had to make a decision as to whether or not you were going to thrive or you were just going to survive. And that was a huge thing for me. So I threw myself into personal growth and development. I was doing a virtual job and also doing 2 different screens about 12 hours a day with just
Wow.
learning and connecting with all sorts of
Yeah.
different people. And I woke up every day at 6 in the morning and went to bed every night at 10 p.m. religiously 7 days a week. But what I found was the fact that the world had just collapsed in a lot of ways too. And everybody ended up being on this virtual place. And you
Mhm.
had people that were famous that would only be accessible if you flew to a place and you paid $30,000 for a ticket and you went to your hotel and all these different things too. And all of a sudden it's like they were clamoring for people to pay attention to them because they didn't have any audiences. So you had people who were really famous who you'd go into a Facebook page and they were alive and there were 4 people there. So they would get to know your name. But then from there, you got invited to the next thing and then from the next thing and then
Yeah.
from the next thing. And then when I would see people that I would know, that'd be 30 to 40% of the people that I would already know, I would private message them and say, hey, it's so nice to see you here. And then what I found is that, as Marissa Peer likes to say, people say that it's lonely at the top, but she said, no, it's just really crowded at the bottom. So, I
Okay.
love that quote because I think it's a really, really great one too. But in the last 4 years, miraculously, despite being, not a thin person, not being a young person, not being a lot of these different things, I literally became a heart center conscious entrepreneur and it opened up my intuitive abilities. I took multiple different courses from different people, but I developed my own modality. And during the pandemic, I gifted probably to 500 or 1,000 free sessions globally. So I created a global reputation without a website, without any kind of anything. And I ended up literally being Vishen Lakiani when I'm a big part of the Mind Valley tribe.
Yes.
I was in his premium coaching course, which doesn't exist anymore. It was like less than 30 of us together with him, just him figuring it out with us, which was amazing. And then from there, he was doing live screenings on his connections thing. And then he was basically commenting that I was going to be doing speaking engagements. And so my name literally popped up to the top of the SEO on Google because someone said, "Have you Googled yourself?" And I'm like, why would I do that?
Right.
But I was at the top. I mean, at the time, someone else was benefiting from it because I wasn't getting the traffic, but it
Yeah.
was still the incredible aspect of this, like being kind of put on blast out there too. But it was still like from there, 2 days ago, my sixth book is basically international best-selling and 13 categories on Amazon. It's called The Essence of a Woman. I was in the Women Gone Wild series, which we were on
Yes.
New York Times billboards.
I
We were on
remember that.
6 New York
Yes.
Times
Yes.
billboards in 2022, which was incredible. And then being invited on to all the Los Angeles Tribune platforms to be able to speak was amazing as well too. So just doing the neuroscience one last, that we just did as
Right.
well. But I think that the most important thing is that, as you said, my energy, I'm a super connector. And I've literally just, I see different things and I see energy and I'm like, this person needs to work with this person needs to work with that. But from there, it's like, I haven't never been a business person before. This
Mhm.
entrepreneurship has been very new in the last 4 years, but stepping into it, it's like, it's basically being in the capacity of how do you say yes to the universe? And by
Mhm.
saying yes to the universe, then you just find out all these different divine synchronicities and signs and things happen. But I wasn't able to monetize my super connecting. I didn't really know how to do that. And I also ended up getting taken advantage of in certain places too, where people, they like to take the light as opposed to,
Yes.
giving, and they pretend that they are the light when they're not. But ultimately now it's like I've been able to be very, very clear. So someone who's starting off in their entrepreneurial journey, it's also something of where like my example is a good example because now the discernment is there. And I'm very much upfront in the sense where everything has to be put into writing before everything goes forward in that sense too. So it's something that I feel like for an audience member who's listening to this and they're saying, well, how can I get into that kind of space too? Learning that discernment, I think, is really, really important, but also staying away from jaded, bitter, and cynical, because I think those are three very unattractive characteristics on the human, but staying completely as expanded as possible, knowing that the universe wants better for you than you could ever have imagined for yourself.
Awesome. I have like a bunch of follow-up questions for you because you gave me like 4 or 5 really important nuggets and you just referred yourself once again to the entrepreneur. And I can relate to that because I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. That was like the farthest thing from my mind. And then suddenly you are, right? You are an
Yeah.
entrepreneur. So you said that you had to learn discernment, that you had been taken advantage of. How would you suggest to somebody who now finds themselves on a mission and realizing I need apparently to be a freelancer to create my own business? How do you recommend for them to be able to, I mean, yeah, to not get taken advantage of, if that is at all possible? Because I'm not sure it is.
Well, I think the most important thing is that, I mean, one of the differences between Europeans and Americans is the fact that Europeans are much more like in German, you have, dual and have Z. So you have this formality of where it's like,
Mhm.
I knew people when I lived in Europe that were neighbors with each other for 30 years and they still said, you know, "Wir haben sie das gehabt," or whatever it is. They're
Yes,
always using the formality in that sense
right.
too. Whereas in America, there's this familiarity where everybody's buddies and they're all friends and they're all that kind of stuff. So there's like an over familiarity too. And it's like, you think to yourself, okay, these people are my friends. So obviously they want the best for me. And then
Mhm.
you're like, oh, I got you. Oh, we'll be good. Oh, I'll take care of you or this, that, whatever. And so these promises that are put out because you have this feeling in your heart, like, oh, they're my friends and they wouldn't hurt me. But by the same token, as I've learned from Dame Doria Cordova and Money and You, one of the most
Yes.
important things in Money and You as a grad is that you need to make sure that these agreements are put into writing. And so when
Yes.
that thing is like, hey, that's great. I'd be more just like, I'm on the Secret Knock Advisory Council with Greg
Mhm.
Reed. And he says a lot of super connectors are broke because of the fact that,
Right.
they just offer these things for free because we do it so
Yes.
naturally. But he said, instead, you think to yourself, if someone says, I have a plane I want to sell. And he says, hey, if I can find you a buyer for that, and you can give me 10% of the commission. Can we do that? You put it in writing. And then that person just sold their plane, but you got exactly what you wanted to. So it
Yeah.
ends up being a win-win for everybody. So learning that whole kind of money and you thing was really, really important. And
Mhm.
certain people come into your life where you have certain lessons that you need to learn. And that's
Yes.
just the reality of life.
Yeah. And that's why I sometimes think, it's I think it's part of our learning journey to explore the different the different humans that we come in touch with, and also to figure out, for example, what type of coach, what type of mentor is good for me. We don't necessarily find the perfect one the first time around. I mean, I remember going through a few before, I found mine, and then, moved on from that now as well to work with 90210, and before, of course, with the Tribune, which is where we met. Now, in addition to that, you mentioned the Money and Me, which of course is an awesome class, and the Discernment. So, going energetic for a second, since we're energetic beings, and reading energy and getting an intuitive sense of, I'm not sure about this person, does the human aspect of wanting or needing to have business experience prevent us from being able to discern right from the start?
Um, Again, like I said, sometimes I think it's
Hmm.
the over familiarity on that too. But again, it's like
Okay.
integrity is all about
Hmm.
action. It's not
Hmm.
about words. And people can say whatever they'd like to say to be able to, do that. But that whole concept of gaslighting, of where it's like, don't believe your lying eyes, where they'll tell you like, oh, I'm going to take care of you and everything's great and so on and so
Yeah.
forth. And then they don't. So it's, again, you're watching people's actions too. But in that sense, being open to the connection, because
Hmm.
sometimes, again, you have the right people where that wrong person can introduce you to the right person. So
Yes.
therefore, it's also being aware of the fact that these are stepping stones, but I also find that one of the things that's really, really important is that, I'm a forgiving person. So to me, it's like, I don't need to go scorched earth with any of these people at all, whatever. I bless them, and, you go do your journey or whatever it
Wow.
is to whatever is
Yeah.
going to happen. The universe is exacting. So, whatever is going to happen, that's totally, I'm okay with that. I don't need to do
Yeah.
anything on that other than just kind of like, sever ties, et cetera. But I find that burning bridges is one of the worst things that people can do in business,
Hmm.
because there are so many places where a lot of these circles are very, very small, and you don't necessarily know where that other person's going to be in that other space. I mean, right now, I'm talking to the head of a movie studio about a particular deal that we have
Yeah.
going on. And I just found out that he's in the 90210 universe on the list when I went to go look you up today. And all of a sudden, I just was like, oh my God, hi, how are you? It said, nice to see you here. But it's
Yeah.
something that is so random. But it's, again, that's why basically, to me, I really believe in kindness, and that your
Hmm.
actions really do have to speak louder than your words, where people know that your reputation is solid, and that the integrity that you have, of that you keep your word, and that you're not going to be able to, renege on those type of things too. So that's a really, really important part, is
Hmm.
that too. So I think, Shakespeare said, to thine own self be true. And if you
Yes.
can kind of follow that and make sure that all these people basically they follow with your mission, your values, and your purpose, you're not going to lose. Everything is going to be finding that for you. And that's what I find, is the fact that there's so many things that I couldn't even imagine in my life. I mean, I've been featured in now something like 20 different magazines, USA
Yeah.
Today,
Congratulations. That's
Forbes,
awesome.
Gods.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then having, I have another book coming out next month as well too, it'll be my
Hmm.
seventh. And it's just like looking at all these things too. It's like I never in a million years would have ever thought of that. I'm in the special thought edition, the leader that
Yes.
edition, that the Los Angeles Tribune.
Exactly.
And those are just being able to be regarded in a certain light. And so I just feel so honored and blessed and humbled by that. Because again, it's like it's been a lot of hard work, but by the same token, I feel like, all those seeds that have been planted they're fruiting now.
Hmm. Uh-huh. So kindness and forgiveness, I think, yeah, I agree, are key. I do have a question about the not burning bridges. By that, I mean, of course, we know circles are small and everybody seems to be interconnected. I don't know about you, but I've met some people where just the energy doesn't add up, and, they've taken advantage of you a bunch of times. And I'm a person who will say, after I've been loyal again and again and again, I forgive them and everything, but I also don't ever want to work with them again,
Correct.
because of the energy. Is that what you mean with burning bridges, or is there a difference?
No, I think burning bridges is literally with people who decide that they want to basically, when somebody's done them wrong, they need the whole world to know about it. They go on social
Okay.
media,
Mm-hmm.
they slander that person, they say all sorts of
Yeah.
horrible things too. And to me, it's like, I don't want to have any part of that kind of energy. To me, it's just
No.
like, and for the most part, unless I feel like it's absolutely crucial of someone who's going into business with that person or something else too, I won't even talk about it with other people. I don't even,
Right.
I want the other people to have their own experience with that person as well too, because I think running around warning people about people too is like that doesn't necessarily mean that that person's going to do that other person wrong. It
Right.
just means the fact that it wasn't the right fit for you.
Yes, yes. No, exactly. No, because that's between them and me. It has nothing to do with anybody else. Yeah.
Correct.
Fascinating. I do have a few more questions for you, especially about intentionality. I can't say that word, and manifestation. But if it's okay with you, we'll just take a very tiny little short break. And during that break, we'll bring you, of course, one of our valued sponsors. So be sure to check this one out. And then we'll be right back with you and 90210 Universe and our special guest, Barbie Layton. Don't go anywhere.
Thank you.
Welcome to 90210 Enterprise, where your dreams take flight. Join an exclusive community of over 20,000 professionals, unlocking access to world-class business consulting and powerful networking opportunities, with expertise spanning 12 specialized sectors, including network, business and ventures, real estate, finance, and more. Choose from our tailored access plans, corporate access and executive access. Unlock exclusive benefits of corporate and executive access, including a 30-minute orientation with Dr. Natalie Forrest, Executive Director of 90210 and President of the Media Vertical, and a 45-minute consultation with Ashkan Tabibnia, Founder and CEO of 90210 Enterprise for Corporate Access members. Executive Access members receive a 30-minute consultation. As a member, you enjoy access to special opportunities to expand your reach, participate, and collaborate with our partners, such as Vire and Depeche, and have your message be shared globally. Are you ready to turn your dreams into reality? Join us today and experience the difference. Contact us at 90210enterprise@gmail.com.
And welcome back to your 90210 Universe, where we showcase unique, creative, and diverse humans who are living their legacy. And as you have already heard in the first part of today's show, Barbie sure is living her legacy. Daily action, connecting people, being open to the energies has gotten her where she is today. And if I heard you right, you're kind of surprised where you are today. Your seventh book is coming out. You are on you're working with Greg Reed, of course, Secret Knock. You're with Mo and others on the Tribune. You've been, of course, with what was that? Wild Women, No Women Going Wild. That was it. You've been on the big screens. You've been in so many magazines. And now, if I remember correctly, there's something about intentional by Barbie. And I believe Ashkan has also shared that with me. Tell us a little bit about intentional by Barbie, which I believe was also somewhere present at the Oscars.
Yes, it was at an Oscars gifting lounge. Yes, it's my product line. I have manifestation sprays, candles, and soaps, which I have everybody that I've gifted them to is just they send me pictures that they're on their nightstand or in their purse, or they're always using them because they've been manifesting things too, and that makes me really happy. And another thing is that is also part of my legacy is that I'm in a movie called Beyond Physical Matter that's on
Yes.
Amazon Prime, Tubi, Gaia, and now just recently Apple TV. And I've been approached to be in another movie, a trilogy going up with Dr. Bruce Lipton and Marissa Peer and some other people as well, which I'm excited about. And then I've also been offered my own solo film project as well too, which is just absolutely
Congratulations.
incredible, which is crazy
Yes.
to me. And yes, I am surprised because so the intentionality of things is the fact that I really believe that you're co-creating your life with the
Yes.
divine. You're co-creating your life with the universe and the quantum field. And so therefore it's like allowing yourself to intentionally open up yourself. So when I do one-on-one coaching with people and they've had, the results of my one-on-one coaching with people has been phenomenal. There's people that have babies now that were infertile, people that, have had certain kind of issues, et cetera. I'm not a doctor, so I can't say that I've cured things, but they were there on Friday and on Monday they weren't there. So it's just,
Yes. I know how that goes.
what
It's amazing.
what am I gonna
Yes,
say?
yes.
Yeah. So it's the intentionality of putting out the energy in the sense of where I take people through a whole process of opening up their conscious, their energy field. And what the beauty of it was the fact that, having clients in Dubai or having clients in South Africa or Australia and places like that too. It didn't matter what religion or ethnicity we are, or, or gender. It's basically, if I could explain it, that it's electricity. And that fact that, you're in Germany right now, I'm in California, we're both on a device, we're both using, Wi-Fi, we're using that kind of stuff too. We can all agree on that. Even if it's 110 or 220 voltage, when it's a different plug for the electricity, we can still agree the fact that we're having this conversation because we're both on an electrical device.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's what the quantum field is. It's not a religious thing. It's not dogmatic or theoretical. It's basically, it's literally, it's a opportunity to be able to put that energy out, which is beautiful. And then from there, enjoy the fact that by being intentional and stating, questions like, what would it take and how will it feel? Which is basically, that's Rex Sykes' work of where he talks about those questions that you put out in that sense. So if you do so if you take the, what would it take and how will it feel? You imagine that. So like, for example, the intentionality of when you want more money and things like that too, I will go onto a video game slot machine where I will win a $75 million jackpot. And I'll just like start screaming in my living room, like excited as if I just won the 75 million. So a lot of it is basically the creativity of your imagination and suspending disbelief and staying in childlike wonder. Because it's like, I think a lot of times, the universe loves the playfulness of when you gamify things and make it fun. And when you make it fun, it's like, okay, sometimes if I want to think about, I'm excited about winning prizes or something happening, I'll watch The Price is Right. And I know that's a silly game show in the United States, but it's something of where people are like, yay, and ding, 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 ding. And you get yourself into that frequency of that. So everything is frequency. So I focus a lot on solfeggio frequencies. And the one that I like to tone the most, I've done for 30 years, and I would like to continue spreading that around the planet, is the hue, which is 520 hertz. And it's just being able to tone that. It's a miraculous tone. And I've had so many incredible experiences in my travels around the world of where, and I go snorkeling, I sing the hue into my snorkel. I've had 10,000 fish come around me, and literally just in Mexico, I've had other experiences of animals coming. I had 5 bull elephants in Burma that, were like hugging me with their trunks and just loving on me because I'm singing a hue to them. So everything is a frequency. And if you're intentionally doing that, you have to be at 500 hertz or higher to be able to manifest those things that you want to manifest. So whatever you're wanting to pull into your energy field, you have to match that vibrational frequency.
So here's a question for you. You and I, we're on the same page. And there are lots of people who, I'm going to say, want to believe. And they're following, all the books, and whether it's Your Candle or Marie Diamond's or whatever, they're doing all the right things. They're doing it. Maybe they're watching Price is Right. Maybe they're like even getting in the emotions and visualizing, and it doesn't work. So how would you explain that? Because I think that's what we deal with a lot, right? That people are trying, and it's not working. And I have an idea that I probably know your answer, but let's just play around with it and say, why is it not working? Because there are so many people who want to believe, who are working hard to get up, just like you said, 6 every morning, 10 to bed at night, do all the right things, and it's just not panning out for them. What would you tell them?
I would say that they need to check, see where they're contracted and where they're expanded. So I actually have a course called The Science of Signs. It's 6 modules of where I train people how to look for signs and synchronicities in their lives. And I have them track it. And it can be recurring songs, it can be recurring numbers, it can be recurring symbols, it can be recurring dreams. When I hear the theme song from The Field of Dreams from James Horner, when I hear that, my whole heart swells because it's the universe telling me that this is happening. It's all happening. So like right now, my symbol that I'm looking for when I know that I'm on track for things is basically a hot air balloon. It's a random thing. But whenever I see a hot air balloon, I say, yes, thank you so much. But I have to also acknowledge to the quantum field that I received that sign and that I know that that was meant for me. And so it's like not looking at a dream dictionary or angel numbers or things like that too. It's very specific to how is the universe communicating with you. And if you start seeing strawberries all the time, you see a strawberry here, strawberry there, strawberry here, strawberry there. There's something about the strawberry right now that's trying to tell you something, but you have to figure that out. And so that by tracking it, I've been able to teach people how to look at those things. And I mean, it's so intensely intentional that I will voice note the things for me. And on a 25-minute ride to work, I can see a license plate with a word on it. I can see a sticker with something that I need to write down. I can see a word on a billboard or something that has a phrase on it. I can see another thing in someone's sweater. And once I've voice noted those and I look at them at the end of the night to look at the patterns, because that's what you need to look for, are patterns in your life. Oftentimes those spell out 6 to 8 word sentences that are grammatically correct in English. And there would be no way that you would be able to patch this all together. But it was intentionally where with the childlike wonder, I'm like a kid in a video game looking for the extra mushrooms in Mario Brothers so I can pop it and get an extra 50 points. So it's playing a game with the universe of how can you show me what it is. And like for me, I feel like a bonus day is when I was in the car coming from JFK to New York Times Square to go see the 2 giant, the 4 billboards that we were on that were on the Coca-Cola stack that were cycling with Kim Kardashian, which is incredible. I mean, seeing yourself 65, feet high on this giant iconic place. I mean, there's no neural, network of memory in your body for that. That's complete quantum leaping. But from that perspective, I had seen 111, 222, 333, 444, 555. And then I was looking for the 6s, the 7s, and the 8s because I'd already seen the 9s. And so I said, okay, universe, come on. This is a milestone day for me. I'm going to be able to go see this epic thing with all of my co-authors. And then next thing you know, I looked on the truck and 666. I looked at a building, it had 777. And on the license plate, when I got to my W hotel, had 888. And so to me, those kind of days where I have all 1s, all through 9s, that is a milestone day. And so I track those things very meticulously because then I know that I'm being communicated with. And the more that I communicate with the quantum, I interact with it, the more that it interacts with me.
Yes. I love the fact that you just said patterns because that's like one of my passions, Let's find your patterns. That's your mission. And we go from there.
Yes.
But you didn't wake up.
Yes.
You didn't wake up and say one day, hey, this is how it goes. I'm going to track it. I'm going to do it. Right? This is usually not. So how did you arrive at this practice? Let's call it that. What woke you up?
Well, I did have a day, which was very strange. I just had gastric bypass surgery in 2001, and I was on a family vacation down to Key West, Florida, and I started seeing 111, 111, 111, 111. I started seeing like 20 times, and I'm like, okay, there's something I need to be paying attention to. So I got out an envelope and I started doing like the little chicken structure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of how many times I was seeing the multiples of 1s. It was by the end of a 3-hour trip, I'd seen it more than 120 times. So I knew that there was something to that. And then an ex-boyfriend and I started looking at gematria, which is basically something that, a lot of that's a Judaic practice too, where the, ancient, Jewish faith of where they would look at the numbers, the numerical practices of different names and different things that they spell out. So it's just looking at these esoteric kind of practices and then kind of taking that ancient wisdom and then pulling that in today. And then it just, by being surrounded by excellent teachers that were teaching different programs, I was able to take the best that I got from them that worked for me. But then I was able to expand it into, my own practice of where, like I said, I have one-on-one coaching with former NFL players. I've had, CEOs of companies that have done amazing things. And when you watch somebody thrive in those kind of like high level stakes places too, it's like, I'm a vessel. I'm a vessel to be able to bring that about. Being able to teach other people how to do that, to be able to take care of that on their own is as exciting as me doing one-on-one sessions with people, because then I can teach them to fish, as they say, as opposed to giving them a fish.
Yes. Yeah. To me, that's the best part. We have to guide them through some of the processes to arrive where they're able. But I always say it's about the skill transfer. It's about the ability for them to do it themselves,
Correct.
So we're putting ourselves out of business, and I think that's okay.
I agree. Plenty of people help.
Yes, I know. Having said all that, again, thinking about, you living your legacy, you're being in all these movies, as you just mentioned, you offered your own series, you have books, number 7 is coming out, you've been in the magazines, you've been featured. That is already living your legacy in so many ways. What would you say is your legacy?
Well, in 2021, I started my TV show and I have 50 episodes that I had filmed with really influential people around the world. like Naveen Jain and Ken Honda, the Zen
Mhm.
millionaire, and other people like that. And what I find as my legacy is being able to have the ability to show people that you can be open-hearted and that you can literally find the way to be of service as the most paramount thing to be able to do. Because right now there's so many opportunities that are coming for me to have a global impact with amazing
Mhm.
humans that are doing also global impacts as well too. And so it's that interconnectedness that you're talking about, where then my legacy ends up being of where it's like, I would love to have, foundations and other things of where it's like, it becomes a non-depleting fund of where things, I've been thinking about having community centers where people don't have
Mhm.
to pay, you just buy land and
Yes.
they don't have to rent it out and they can do weddings there and other things like that too. And I'm working with people that are working with education and the youth around the country and just having the opportunity of where finding wherever possible that you can be of service. And so what I found is the fact that even though I started out in one direction, because I just kept saying yes and yes and yes to all the opportunities that resonated for me correctly, I'm now in so many different fields that I never in a million years would have thought about with movies
Mhm.
and TV and media and gaming and metaverse. And I mean, there's so many things that I'm connected, product line. There's so many things that I'm connected to that if I had just thought of myself as just being in this box, I
Mhm.
would never have even opened myself up to even having the opportunity to be able to explore any of these things. And so working with epic humans right now that, as you said, I mean, are doing amazing things like Ashkan, and other people that are part of this tribe as well too. It's such a beautiful blessing to know that what we're doing is going to benefit mankind as opposed to being about selfishness. It's about how can I get more so that I can share more, because that's
Mhm.
one of the most important things too, in the sense of where people oftentimes I spoke about this when I got my award at my auditorium last month, is that it's that a lot of people have told me in my life, you need to stop giving, you need to stop giving, you need to
Mhm.
stop giving. But that is my true nature. That is what I love to do.
Yes.
But now having that in the past where I was receiving impaired, where I was giving and giving and burning myself out. I still
Yes.
have a chronic illness, which I haven't been able to release yet, but it's
Mhm.
still allowing myself to then be received and reciprocated back to where it becomes this beautiful flow. And now it's like there are so many things that are basically a dream come true that I've never, or beyond my wildest dreams that are coming
Yeah.
true, where I'm really, really excited.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And my absolute final question. So running out of time. Um, love is my religion. Where does that come from?
I just saw it as a screensaver and I just really loved it because to me, it's like, there's nothing more beautiful than that. That is like truly to me the most powerful thing of where you can see, a mother who sees her child under a car and she can literally superhumanly just lift it up. And that's not physically possible, but she does it because she loves that child so much. And I think that if people were focused so much more on how they could love on each other rather than tear each other down, or what can I get from you? What can you do for me? And things like that too, our world would just be so much more beautiful because we really do. I've been to 35 different countries. I lived in Asia for a year. I lived in Europe for a year. My mother's originally from Germany, and the more that you travel, the more you realize that there's so many similarities. And in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we all need to be seen and heard and loved and accepted. Those are four basic human needs. And so I feel like by just being as loving as possible, despite having been not treated well in a lot of spaces,
Mhm.
that is
Mhm.
something that, despite all of that, like Anne Frank said that in her diary, despite
Yes.
everything, I believe that humans are good.
Yes. And that's a strength, isn't it? Believing in love and the power of love, as silly as that sometimes sounds.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Awesome. Barbie, there's a lot more I want to ask, but we will continue that conversation. Um, if there was one word that you want to use to inspire people, what would that be?
Gratitude.
And where can people reach you?
I can go to barbielayton.com, or basically they can go on Instagram at Barbie Layton Official.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Barbie. I really appreciate it. And, we might have to have you back, but for today, time is not on our side. So thank you, Barbie. And thank you, everybody, for joining us live on all the different podcast avenues that we have. As you know, 90210 Universe is a podcast dedicated to showcasing unique, obviously, creative and diverse human beings who are living their legacies and making a difference. How? by being the change and by supporting and inspiring others. So join us at our universe by subscribing to this podcast. Follow us on social media and contact the 90210 Enterprise community to elevate your life and your legacy today. And don't forget to get in touch with Barbie as well. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today in the 90210 Universe, a podcast dedicated to showcasing unique, creative, and diverse humans, who we are, living their legacies, making a difference, and thereby being the change, supporting and inspiring others. Join our universe by subscribing to this podcast, follow us on social media, and contact us to join the 90210 Enterprise community to elevate your life and legacy today.